How do you control your emotions? Fact, you can't control your emotions. Now, before you stop this video and say, well, I'm done with this, there's good news in all of this. But trying to control your emotions is keeping patterns that you've had since childhood locked up, because you've been trying to control how you feel your whole life. When we grow up in environments where we very early on sense what's acceptable and what's not, whatever parts of us are not acceptable, we shut them down and we spend our whole time trying to control those emotions, which means we become only part of ourselves. We may be operating on 20 or 30% of who we really are, maybe 40, 50, 60. But all of us will have parts of us that we've shut down because we didn't feel that we got love when we showed those parts. So controlling your emotions, it's impossible. Emotions are a normal part of being human. So what we do to try to control them is we cut off from different parts of ourselves. And every time that emotion starts to raise its head, perhaps it's when you go back and see your family and you start to feel all this fear and anxiety. Perhaps it's going into crowds. Perhaps it's feeling really overwhelmed when you go out into high stimulus environments. Perhaps you feel this surge of anger whenever something doesn't go right, doesn't go your way. They just keep repeating. Perhaps you keep yelling at your partner. They just keep repeating because we are trying to not feel. So instead, you're thinking, well, what do I do now? If I'm not controlling my emotions, and if I can't control my emotions, and they're cutting me off from being all of who I am, then what do I do with them? Excellent question. So what we need to learn to do is be able to feel them in a safe way. So that means connecting to your body, because we feel emotions literally in our body. And no amount of logic can take us out of that feeling. We might try to block it off, we might dissociate, but the feeling stays stuck in the body. The body remembers it, the body knows it very well. So when we want to come home to ourselves, then we need to stop. We need to pause, and we need to start connecting. Now, what that means is through the breath, taking a breath, noticing the feelings. They could be very unpleasant in some places in your body. They may be fine in other places in your body. You're just noticing them. So those emotions that are overwhelming, give yourself permission to feel them. Give yourself permission to notice the sensation. Now, that can feel overwhelming. So there's a couple of tips. There's a few levels here. There's the sensation itself. Then there's the story we have about the sensation. And then there's our reaction because of that story. I don't like it or I do. So the sensation could be a pit in my stomach like this, or heaviness in my stomach. The story could be I'm feeling really sick because I have to see this friend of mine that I've had a big fight with, and I don't want to see them, but I have to see them. And then the reaction is, I can't do this. It's all too much. Get me out of here. I need to avoid this. So that reaction is of trying to avoid it is actually where the key problem is. So what you want to be doing is going, I'm noticing that I want to avoid this. I'm noticing there's a story. I'm going to let the story and the avoidance go, and I'm going to focus on the sensation, the pit in my stomach. And I'm going to really try to focus it, because the sensation is the language of the body. It doesn't have a story around it. I'm going to focus on the sensation and just notice it just as it is. So does it feel, what size does it feel? Does it feel like small? Does it feel really quite big? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? If I drew a line around it, what shape might it be? If it was a colour, what might that be? So you're starting to get to know the sensations in a sensory way. without the story. And then you'll notice the sensations will change. Now, there'll be moments when you can touch that sensation, and then you'll start to feel like, oh, it's getting really overwhelming. That's fine. When you get to the point of, say, it's a 6 out of 10, then you say, okay, I'm going to get up and go for a walk now. But at least you've started to get to know and make friends with your body. Don't let yourself get to an 8 out of 10 in terms of anxiety or overwhelm about the sensation when you start practicing this. If it's any more than a 6 out of 10, then get up, take a breath, go for a walk, do something else. You can step away from it and then come back again. But the practice is to become friends with your body. Now you'll be like, well, why would I do that? Because I've been avoiding it most of my life and it's worked fine. Well, has it really worked fine? Is it really working fine? I don't know that it is. Because all of us have a yearning, actually, to be able to experience ourselves fully. So even if you're surviving in life, you've got a great job, a great relationship, there's a part of you that might feel like, you know what, I feel like I'm a little trapped in certain areas. And so you can get to know yourself and be all of who you are. And really be fully alive. And be in this incredible journey that we have while we're on this planet for however many years we get to be here. And feel it. Not just think our way through life, but feel our way through life. And that is such a gift. So I really invite you to become friends with your emotions. Let go of trying to control them, because you can't. And trying to control them is cutting you off from so much of who you are. Thank you.